I just planted up the last few of my microdwarfs here. I'm at the top middle bed, and what I should be doing is pruning these tomato plants and getting them tied up to the trellis, because there are a couple of them. The first ones I planted right there are flopping over and they're in the dirt, and some of the leaves at the bottom already look kind of diseased. I really need to get these cleaned up and before the disease spreads too much. But I just wanted to show you just how sad looking these microdwarfs look at this one. This one, I don't know if it'll bounce back, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go get some banana fertilizer, so it's just banana peels and water, and I'm gonna give these three a really good watering, and I'll keep you updated. I mean, look how oh, it's like very unhappy in that pot. It's been in there far too long. But let's go water them, and then we'll get to pruning. All right, so I'm in here getting my banana water. It's in one of those buckets there, but I don't think I showed this. Some of the trailing varieties of microdwarfs I put in these Dollar Tree hanging containers. So I need to get hooks for them because it's just string. But they seem to be doing pretty good right there. Looking pretty. I'm gonna water them with some banana water as well. I'm keeping these very well fertilized, watered well, since they don't have a whole lot of dirt that they're going to be growing in. But look at all the flowers. Like, yes, they're very happy in here. I'm pretty thrilled. So this one is, what is this one? This one is Trailing by Bahaha, I believe, or Bajaja, Bahaha. This one is Rosy Falls. And these two are, so I've got two per pot. I probably could have done another one right here, but I just wanted to see how they do with two. And then this one is Garden Pearl. Okay, so I'm beginning to prune my plants. I watered the microdwarfs, and I'm starting over here. These are the first two I planted. I actually bought these at a nursery, and they were already pretty far along. They're flopping over. They need to be tied up to this. I'm going to first tie them up. And then what I have, because you can see at the bottom here, there's already some disease happening on both of them. There's some leaf spot. Where can I get you guys? Yeah, right there. So I've got a rag here. I put some alcohol on it, and I'm going to continually wipe my hands between each plant with the alcohol rag, and wipe my shears as well once I'm done clipping one. That way I'm not transferring disease from one plant to another. Yes, it's a little bit tedious, but I have an issue with my plants getting diseases quickly and then becoming kind of ugh. So I'm going to try my hardest this year to keep that from spreading as quickly. All right, there is something with this bed, but I always seem to, this is the first bed that's always attacked. The top middle row, but do you see on the stem there, those little dots? And then there's like, look at all that on that leaf. So these are white flies, and I'm thinking they're the more mature or the darker ones. So I need to get out here and spray. I actually did a video last year on this. About the same time, this row got attacked by the white flies, but I'm not really seeing it in any of the other rows. But I may just go ahead and pre-treat this middle area, all the tomatoes in this middle area before, because they're what's called sap suckers, and they actually will just suck the life out of your plant. You can kind of see them doing it on these leaves. All right, so there's the 3 piles from these 3 rows. I still need to tie up this bottom row, but as you can see, I've trimmed off most of the lower leaves and also removed most of the suckers from these 2 rows. But I need to go down here and also, if you're unfamiliar with tomato plants, where is the tie tape? Tie tape. Oh, it's down there already. I need to wipe my hands too. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe my hands before I show you this. Got the alcohol on here, and I've just been wiping. So once I get these 3 rows done, this last row here finished up, tied up, because I haven't tied it yet. I started to. I tied this one, but I'm going to spray these with a concoction of neem oil, cold pressed neem oil, and water, and just spray these down, because down here it's not so bad as the top row. The top row is the worst off, but I'm starting to see just a little bit. See, there's just one right there. A little bit of that white fly damage. As far as pruning goes, if you look at this plant right here, so you've got the center stalk of the tomato plant, and then as you go up it, you'll have a branch that's the leaf, and then you have what's called the armpit of that branch, and inside the armpit is a sucker. So as you can see, you keep going up the stem, branch, sucker, branch, and you can just barely see the sucker there, that little tiny leaf right there. But if you prune your tomato plants like I do, to try, because I have so many, I've got them spaced about 12, maybe 16 inches apart. So I need to prune pretty heavily so that I can fit all these tomato plants in here. And I'll do a good bit of pruning at the beginning of the season, and then I get kind of lax as I get a bunch of fruit on the tomatoes, because, you know, I plant so many tomatoes. I really just like the variety. I don't need the quantity on each plant. If you were planting, you know, just a few varieties, you'd want a lot of tomatoes for your family. But I plant so many tomatoes, I only need, you know, a handful of tomatoes from each plant. So, you know, if you were doing it that way, you really, and you could space them a little bit further apart and get more quantity rather than the variety. But that's how so to get rid of the suckers, I just pinch them off. And so, like, as you can see on this one here, what is this variety? Clementine Blue. There's the center stalk, the leaf branch, and then this would be the sucker. And I've let this one go, this sucker, to the point where it's actually become another plant. Now, you could potentially try to reroot this plant if you wanted to, because you can see center stalk, leaf branch, sucker, center stalk, leaf branch, tiny little sucker there. So I could clone this if I wanted 2 of these Clementine Blues and just break this off and stick it in the ground, make sure it stays watered, and it will grow roots. I've done that before, especially if a plant becomes diseased and you still want the plant. Just pull off a healthy looking sucker and start a new plant. But that's what I'm doing now, is trying to I have so many plants. This is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, but they are looking lovely. There's some chives that I planted a long time ago. They're flowering. And the carrots here are doing pretty good too. And then I've got some, what kind of basil is this? Is this the lime basil? Sweet Danny basil. Sweet Danny basil. I'm gonna try to save seeds from a bunch of different basils I'm growing, but we're getting there with this row of tomatoes. It is time to take this hoodie off, but I did want to say this. So I had mentioned that I was going to spray my plants with neem oil. I'm not going to do that until this evening, unfortunately. I know I'm like very anxious to kill all those little white flies and buggies, but neem oil is an oil, and it's supposed to be pretty hot and sunny today, and I don't want to burn my plants. So I'm going to wait till this evening, Then I'll spray them with neem oil. But in the meantime, I am going to mulch these again, another thick layer, and mulch the entire bed. Now that things have grown up a little bit, I'm going to thickly layer it. That way I don't have to water, because this is a pain in the butt to water. And if summer is anything like it's been the past couple weeks, dry. I'm hoping for rain either tomorrow or the next day, but I'm gonna have to water this, and I really don't like to have to do that very often. So mulching thick keeps the moisture in the dirt. So I'm just down here doing very little pruning. These are not quite as big as the ones in the middle row, but I wanted to show you these. I brought these down. These are the pepper plants that I overwintered in these buckets, and they survived all that brutality. They got infested with white flies. Looks like they're getting infested again, so I'm gonna have to come down and spray the neem oil on them as well. Ugh. But this guy here I thought was a real goner, but he looks to be trying. He's trying hard, so I'm just gonna keep him watered and fertilized, and hopefully I'll get something from him. This one was, oh, I don't even know if I can read it, my red Marconi. That was like humongous. But this too looks like it's still trying. This is milk thistle, but it's got little pretty flowers on it. But we haven't had any water, and I watered everything and forgot to water this. So I need to come down with some water and water this poor little guy so he can make it. But wow, ouch, that's prickly. Don't touch it. And then these are my mahogany nasturtiums. Which ones are those? Stuff is starting to bloom, y'all. I'm so excited. Yep, this is the Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary nasturtium. Look how pretty. And then there's the other one. Or wait, is that Bloody Mary? Yeah. I'm not sure. Doesn't look like the other one, does it? But these snapdragons over here are starting to bloom, and I'm so excited. This is the Oriental Lantern snapdragon. Look at that. Oh, I'm going to be propagating these everywhere. All right, in the greenhouse, and we just put up the shade cloth, and whoo-wee, did the temperature drop. It was over 100 in here. I think it was like 103, and it's now 97, and it feels lovely at 97 in here. But getting ready to hang up my picture finally. I'm gonna put it in this corner so she can look over everything. She or he, I'm not sure. Garden protector. Guess it's could be whatever it wants to be. So the stuff in here, now that the shade cloth is on, although the heat won't get heat stroke, it will grow a little bit slower because less light, obviously. Less sun means less growth, but that's okay. My little micro dwarfs, they're just, you know, all the stuff I put in here was like an afterthought. Just had extra, or I wanted to put it in